The following conversation includes sensitive subject matter.
People, even now, you come out at a certain point in your life and you think you're something or the other, and it's not black and white. People try to put labels like you're gay, you're bisexual, you're trans. It's like, okay, but people are in between, and that's healthy. You don't have to be a perceived part of the acronym. You could be a whole bit in between.
Hello and welcome to Chaps Out with me, Grant Philpott, the podcast where I talk to men about coming out later in life and get to have the conversations I wish I'd heard when I was looking for advice. Conversations we still don't hear often enough in the UK. This podcast is for anyone navigating their own personal coming out journey wherever you may be. And remember, you are not alone.
My guest today is a 57-year-old self-employed software consultant who grew up in Rochester, Kent and now lives across the River Medway in Strood. He says he doesn't believe in simple storylines. His life has included a few unexpected plot twists, a fair amount of self-reflection and a commitment to finally living out loud. These days he's embracing authenticity under the close supervision of 3 highly judgmental cats. So welcome to the Chaps Out podcast, Adrian Smoothy. Hi Adrian.
Hi, Grant.
So you haven't gone far then, Rochester to Strood.
No, I've traveled with my career and strangely come back to almost where I 200 or 300 yards from where I was born. So yes, it's kind of strange, but yes.
I'm similar to that. I mean, I'm in Southend, Essex, so just over the river, the bigger river.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah. So let's start, as we always do, and just talk about the sort of circumstances you coming out and the age you were when you came out.
For me, when you look back and think about when you came out, you start thinking about why didn't you come out sooner? And I didn't come out until I was until I was 27. Yeah, I think it was 27. And the reason why I came delayed until didn't come out until I was 27. And it's like there was nobody around. I didn't click with anybody around me and I'd moved to the States into just outside Wisconsin. And my manager, the guy who owned the company, turned out to be a gay guy. And the first person I ever really got introduced to was him and his partner. And they were amazing. And over a period of months, I come to understand that I had more in common with them than I did with anybody else, even though I didn't have any relationships with anybody up to that point. Very lonely existence. But then again, it kind of pushed me into my work. And that kind of came to a head when back in 1996, I came home briefly for Christmas. And at the weekend, my dad died.
Oh,
And that changed my life. Everything literally puts things into perspective as to, okay, and I was the youngest of 3 siblings, and I was the one who sorted everything out.
right.
I was the perceived one who knew everything, traveled the world, knew how to put things back together again. And when all this was done, I went back to the States. And at that point, all this kind of built up. And on a really odd, I know exactly where this happened, on the ride back to Minneapolis Airport with my boss in the car. I just hit an all-time low and said, you know what? My perceptions of my family are not what they should be, and they're putting me on a level that I shouldn't be there because my perception was I'm gay and therefore not as good as everybody thinks I should be. And therefore I said to him, look, I'm not what they think I am. And he's like, what are you? And I said, well, I'm gay. He's like, okay. And that kind of went through a few months of trying to understand once I said it to somebody, because at that point I hadn't said it to anybody.
No.
And it's that, okay, I can now talk to somebody and I can reach out to somebody and speak to other people. Back in 1997, this was,
Mm.
and start to actually exist and have a happy life. That's something that didn't exist before then. Um, but yeah, that's my tale of coming out. Although at that point, this was the other side of the Atlantic. So imagine it took that much not having anybody in the UK or family to talk to, then coming back for my father's ashes in August that year and explaining to my mum that I had needed to go back to America. I couldn't come back to the UK because my boyfriend was in the States.
Ah,
And that was interesting because you hope for the best,
yeah.
and it's a bit of a shock. And I knew I had people around my aunt and uncle at the time, and explained to them that I needed to go back. And I always remember her words were, "Well, we don't need to tell anybody, do we?" So at that point, I got in my car. I made sure I drove down by myself to my aunt and uncle's and basically packed my bags and went back to the States.
Yeah.
And things got better over time. And that's the real thing you can get out of this is over time, you understand that people themselves need time to reflect as to people change and not
Mm.
what you expect. And my mum absolutely adored my boyfriend at the time, absolutely loved him. And that's how it came about. It takes time,
Mm.
but the initial shock is, oh my God, the person I most rely on, even though the youngest, but he's just not what I expected him he was. So yeah, it took a long time, and everybody has their own story, but things always improve.
Mm. So your mum was okay in the end, but I guess was she more worried about what other people thought, or do you think there was also a bit of a shock to it for her?
Both. Yeah, knowing my mum, it was about the perception as to what people would think about her.
Mm.
I know it sounds odd, but yeah, she was an individual. Put it that way.
Yeah, I think that's something that I probably, stop me coming out sooner because I just worry whether I lose somebody or, there's that worry that you might destroy what you've got.
Yes, is you're upsetting the perception is that everything's stable, everybody knows where they are,
Mm.
and then this could be what you perceive as, oh, this is going to change everything. It really doesn't. And even more so over the last 20 odd years, things have got so much better. But yeah, it's still a big change.
Yeah. So you say 10 years later you got married, right? So you met
I
your
did,
husband.
yes. Yes, after coming back from the States, realizing I couldn't live there because the health situation,
Mm.
wasn't me. It was just understanding that hearing from people who get unwell and effectively lose everything, which I just couldn't stand the idea of.
Mm.
Came back and settled back in Rochester, traveled around Europe with my work, um, and eventually settled down and went on holiday. I found my husband. This is an interesting story and good one for you never know where a star's going to shine, where somebody's going to come into your life. I met my husband at Gatwick Airport, not through an individual app or anything like that. As a knowing two friends who they were going on holiday, they had spare rooms in their Orlando apartment, and they said they invited my husband separately, who I didn't know. We met at Gatwick Airport. We went on holiday together, Disney World, Universal, and we were inseparable from day two onwards. And the rest is history. We came back. He lived completely other end of the country,
Right.
came back, and yeah, we have been inseparable ever since.
Ah, lovely.
It happens at the most oddest times.
Yeah, blimey. I mean, it's hard enough going on holiday with people you're already with, but when you
Yes.
to meet a stranger and then click, that's just lovely. And it's
Yeah.
good to hear you're still together.
Yeah. Life can be challenging, and you have to accept the lows with the high points as well. But it's really important to have somebody in your life that you can rely on.
And so the rest of your family, like you say, you've got siblings.
I do. I have a sister and a brother, and to be honest, our family doesn't generally talk that much, not through anything other than I think they're lazy.
Right.
And they have their own life, and we just don't overlap that much. We have a lot of other friends. My husband's family is a lot more interactive with us. Yeah, that's just the way it is. And again, everybody's family's different.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about when you were young? Did you had you realized when you were younger that, or were you sort of kind of oblivious to, sex or relationships, or
I,
having a partner or anything?
yeah, I was oblivious to the world until I was 16. I had a really long childhood, and I suddenly opened my eyes when I got to 16, which is very odd. Everybody else said, "Wow, that's late." But then again, it's like, okay, but it was a long time between 16 and 27 of not having any relationships with anybody. And it's, I think the worst point was when I moved to Derbyshire, and in the South, we generally don't go out at the weekends
Mm.
as a family. My parents never went to the pub, but in Derbyshire and in the Midlands, everybody goes out at the weekends, no matter what.
Mm.
And I went out with friends. They took me out, and it's like, this is completely new to me. And that kind of opens your eyes to everybody having a relationship. And it was nice to be around.
Mm.
And I must admit, I got hit on a couple of times by girls, and I had no idea what to do. No, I'd played along, and very much similar to things you see in the movies. Yeah, you kind of play along with the whole act, and they're like, "Oh, I'm tired. I want to go home now." But yeah, it's that you realize that there is more to it. And even I admitted to uh, the guy who I was going out the weekends with, uh, my boss, by the guy who I worked with at the time,
Mm.
and admitted, but if I still single by the age of 40, I'd probably commit suicide. And I was nowhere near having a relationship, and I was 23 at the time, realizing I'd gone that far, and it was utterly depressing, thinking there was no one close, no one
Right.
even close to being that open with.
So I guess yeah, I mean, nothing had clicked, so you just didn't really realize that there was
Nope.
that element that could, that attraction that could occur with another guy. So
Yes.
you just didn't have the language or whatever, I guess, or the
Yeah.
awareness.
No, none whatsoever. And that's kind of growing up in a void of that. The whole your feelings are different to everybody else's,
Mm.
and you have no way of expressing them because nothing has been open to you. We kind of went through the whole school scenario when I was growing up. That wasn't allowed to be discussed.
No.
So yeah, it just didn't exist. Therefore, all I thought was, well, I'm different. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're a couple of years older than me, so very similar going to school, and there was just no education or talking about it. There was no one at my school, when I think back, that was out, as far as I'm aware. I know
Yeah,
there were a couple of teachers, or at least one teacher, who had a partner. I don't think they would have been allowed to be married, right? So they were just
yeah.
they had a but maybe he did have was a husband in the end. But yeah, that was the only person I knew growing up, which is kind of crazy. Were you sort of aware of the AIDS adverts and stuff like that?
I was already working when those adverts started coming out, and it was the way they came across really when I was at a pivotal point in your life when you're 17, 18 years old, and something like that comes on the TV, and you're sitting there on the sofa with your parents watching your TV, and you think, wow, that's a death nail
Mm,
to anybody who does anything like this. And even though you may have not crossed that boundaries of actually coming out to anybody, you never know what might have happened. And it literally pushes you back into, no, can't do that. And yeah, it's, I just think it went a bit too far at the time. They didn't understand it. And thinking about it, when you look back, you think that was just wrong, the
mm.
way they was put across.
Those adverts were so symbolic and black and white. Like the iceberg and the the, the the tombstone and all the rest of it.
Yes, I that is literally, I can reimagine that straight away in my head, that tombstone going down. But it's like, yeah, that's so harsh. It's interesting for us to say that now, but they didn't understand it at the time at all. They just thought it was, hang on, that people are just dying left, right, and centre
Mm.
through this, and they no concept of how to stop it. Yeah, I went to an all boys school, which
Yeah,
made things
yeah,
worse.
me too. Yeah, yeah.
And I remember the guy in the science room that he always was always suggestive, very suggestive, and was always touchy-feely. Absolutely laughed about it, but absolutely hated it. And that went into this is back in the 80s, and thinking, oh, what can I do after leaving school? And my brother was in the army, so I went into the RAF, knowing that I was told it is illegal
Mm.
to be gay while in the forces at that time. And I went in thinking, okay, it's no biggie. I was young. I had no idea other than though I was different.
Mm.
Didn't affect me in any way. And didn't trust anybody there. And so came up with excuses to leave very, very quickly. They
Mm.
made it absolutely crystal clear once you joined back in then that you would be thrown in prison. You would not have a very nice life.
Yeah. How long were you there in then, RAF?
Oh, matter of months.
Oh, right.
I went into basic training into the RAF, which I is one of those situations you absolutely love because it's experiences that you could never get anywhere else. Fun times. Everybody around you, it's very much a family, and I
Mm.
get it. It's all everybody's there for everybody else, but there's always going to be people who command, who are in charge, who can pick you out and make your life an absolute misery
Mm.
if they think you're not towing the line. And I knew that. It's like, no, I can't do that. I know that if the law had changed before I'd joined, I probably would have really enjoyed it
Mm.
because being regimented and a logic to everything being in its right place and everybody doing that suits me down to the ground. But it just wasn't right timing for me. And it set me on a path of coming out of the Air Force and going into office work in London that set me on my journey towards accounting and computing. So it didn't do me any wrong. It was just a case of, okay, pick yourself up,
Mm.
dust yourself down, and off on your next task, as it were. Unfortunately, my family were never interested in education. So even though I did well at school, never went on to further education, which I thought was a shame.
What would you have liked to have done? Maths
Oh
or
my God, yes. Yes, because I was talented at mathematics and physics and kind of shone through when I came through to do accounting and computer software and
yeah,
really shone through because even though back in those days I was one thing you learn as you grow up is that you will evolve over time. I left school, I couldn't pick up a phone.
right.
I was so like in the closet, as it were. It's like, no, I can't do this. But you go through every job, every position you go through, opens you up to new avenues, new concepts, and like, I can do this. Push yourself. I can do this. And gradually you go through, and people see you're evolving, and they can see you changing. And like, okay, we want to challenge you to do something else, challenge you to do something else, to the point where I had directors pick me out saying, I want you to go and see the head of IT because we think you're good for a position. That's how it came down to. It wasn't actually um, going for positions. It's
No,
doing a job so well that people see, right, give him challenges, and that just makes you grow.
but that's great that you're recognised for doing what you're doing. I was just wondering, were you into your computer games and stuff? Because I loved all that stuff when you had like the home
Not
computers.
really.
No,
It's really weird. No, I'm a. It's really sad. I get more joy out of numbers than I do out playing games. Um, Very odd. Bit of a nerd when it comes to that sort of thing. Um, the one thing I used to challenge my team on software was like creating algorithms and stuff like that. Right, recreate this algorithm, this chart in the software, and they'd go away and like, oh, how do we do this? And some bright spark will come up with a different way. Like, brilliant. You think of things differently to I do. That proves the point. Everyone's different. The strange thing is, and one quote that my boss said to me when I did come out to him back in Wisconsin, he said to him, "You do realize that you will have," and this was back in '90s. I'm sure things have changed now, but he said you appreciate that you will have a step up from most other people because you have the ability to show yourself as something else. You've grown up in a certain way and the ability to run your brain in a different way, and therefore you can multitask without even think about it.
Mm.
And you're one step ahead of everybody else. And it kind of did at the time. It's like, oh, I can actually soften what I was working on to hide and almost leverage that in elsewhere. And it really helped. And I swear he was absolutely spot on. It's always helped ever since.
Coming from the UK as well, I mean, there's a different sort of language anyway, really, I suppose, in the way that you approach things to over there.
It was, yeah, they're very, very customer centric over there. It's that's a relearning of how you deal with people.
Mm.
Helped me immensely in how ever since is the how you discuss items with people in the room, making
Mm.
sure everybody's on the same wavelengths, as it were. Um, but something has just occurred to me that relatively recently I was having, and this is jumping sideways slightly, is I went to have dinner with ex old colleagues and left company a few years ago and had dinner with them. And they said, even though I was almost a bit of, somebody called me a stealth gay because they didn't perceive me as being gay, I fitted in wherever I was.
Mm.
And um, he says, but don't you just talk normally in a meetings? I said, no. The first thing I do when I go into a room, even with customers, with you're there, is I read the room.
Mm.
I'm constantly working out what I can and can't do, mannerisms, because the perception of what other people think.
Mm.
And it's kind of hard, but that doesn't go away very easily. You
No.
have to be in a very safe space to be yourself without thinking, where am I? Who's behind me? Who's standing behind me? Who's overhearing before you talk, where, what you talk about, how you explain things. I'm sure, and that took them off guard. And these were people I've known for good 8 years solid and got to know very, very well. The concept of them not realizing that I had to think about where I was every time I had a meeting.
I mean, how is it, being out and that in America? Is it noticeably different, or is it uh, similar to
It
over here?
is noticeably different. The law only changed very, very recently. We're talking the last 10 years, where you could literally be fired on the spot for being gay.
Wow.
It's that recent, and if they're not careful, they'll lose that as well. It'll go backwards as it has things been going backwards in the States.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because the perception in the States is that you are the way you're viewed is more important than what you do.
Mm.
Being gay is a mark against you.
I hadn't realised it was so recent as that would have been the case.
Yeah, it wasn't a fun space when I was there, and yeah, you wouldn't dream of letting anybody know. Even my boss, who was the owner of the company,
Mm.
he did very rarely told anybody outside the company.
So let's talk about being gay in this country now, how it feels to, be out and that. I guess, you're glad you came out and you don't have any regrets about coming out and
Absolutely. I must admit, I'm sure you're the same, is that when you come out, you realize, why didn't I do this sooner?
mm,
Why on earth? There was so much fun from the places you meet at, and you can go to places where you can let your guard down completely and immerse yourself in music and people around you. And it's just a different type of feeling, completely different. Because the only time that you can really let your guard down is normally when you're at home with
yeah.
people around you. So yeah, that's just an amazing feeling.
What sort of spaces do you like to go to? I mean, do you go to like Pride events or anything like that? Or
Yeah, I walked in Pride in London, go to Brighton Pride from time to time. Um, I think my uh, nightclubs a lot, where we can be ourselves.
mm,
Um, Strangely, the nightclubs I used to like the most, of, as so many have gone over the years. The London Astoria used to be on Tottenham
yeah,
Court Road, GOY. That was an amazing space,
mm,
just purely because it was just the sheer size of the room
yeah.
and the immense amount of music being pushed on just almost a small group of people in with a theatre that size.
Was it
Um,
the main Astoria or the LA
Lo-
two?
no, London, the main London
Ma-
Astoria. It's
With all
yeah,
the ups and downs and all the ramp, yeah, there's like a big sort of
big
maze of
stage.
stairs, and yeah, big
Yeah, because
stage.
they had multiple rooms, didn't they, for
Yeah,
different music? Yes. Yeah, that's. I always thought that the smaller rooms got extremely crowded, and it's like that was a bit much for me.
yeah, yeah,
Back at that was the end of the 90s, and I was like, okay, we're only just getting used to this, even a couple of years in. I'd only come back to the UK in the 99, so I
mm,
was just getting used to that. Um, and yeah, the wider theatre area was much more. I got my own space, a little
yeah.
bit of my own space versus being rammed in. How times change though. You go to somewhere else and being rammed in the space with other men enjoying like the music and stuff like that. That's an altogether different experience these days.
Yeah, yeah. Where else did you go then? What else was closed?
XXL used to be under the arches of
Oh
London
yeah,
Bridge Station, and it was almost like a different through every arch, you go into a different space with different music,
yeah,
with a different vibe, and that was lovely. And it was an all male only
yeah.
environment, which is like, oh, this is just phenomenal. There's a new one I've been to, and I've just been to New Year's Eve out at Angel,
Oh yeah.
called Roast, and
Okay.
again male only, and multiple floors
Yeah,
with different music, and very on trend with okay digital setup where you go in and you can change into different gear, and they give you an ID on your phone, and the only thing you need all night is your phone, and that's it. And I again, it gives you big spaces or smaller spaces with amazing music,
yeah.
with light shows and stuff like that. So yeah, that's again an environment where you can just lose yourself in the music and be around in a safe space.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I don't go out that much, but I would love to go to some of those sorts of places.
I know, and people are going to say, "Oh, you're old for that." It's like, but
Oh,
you never
no,
get old inside. You never really do.
no. Yeah, ageism basically.
Yeah.
And and at the end of the day, you kind of all want to stick together a little bit and go, well, hang on a minute, you'll be this age soon. Just,
It's inevitable. They all
yeah,
get older.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah. It
yeah,
works both ways, though. I find the youngsters, because it's like ping pong balls all over the place, and you're like, go away. It's like, it's like, been there, done it. Just
yeah,
yeah, I'll find my own space.
yeah, yeah. And heaven, is that still? I guess that's still going.
It
That's
is, but I think that's very mixed. It's not a gay only, and it's
yeah,
kind of been watered down. I do get it, and you understand how these venues have to evolve over time. They
mm,
have to attract the right crowd to get the income, and therefore
mm.
it's been diluted somewhat.
It's like a touristy thing in a way, isn't it? It's
Yes,
like a.
yeah.
I mean, I guess I would like to go and tick that one off because it feels like it's. I should have at least try it once and see what it's like. So yeah,
Oh, yes, it's one of those places we've done this in the past whereby you go thinking, okay, I'll get the first train home in the morning, which is 6 a.m.
yeah,
So you stay long enough so that you come out, get something to eat, pop on the train, go home.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely on the you should do list.
Definitely, yeah. Get round to it one day. So I guess what would be good to talk about is advice. Is there any advice that you might want to impart from your experience?
Well, other than friends are really important, people who you can talk to when you think things are going off the rails because it's really important you talk to people.
Mm.
Having someone close to you that your deepest, darkest secrets you can talk to about because it's better off your chest.
Mm.
Because family, even they're that close, aren't always as close as your friends because they'll understand more about what's going through your head, and they'll reset what you're thinking about, whether you're just doing it because it's not your head that's thinking, it's something else.
Mm.
Or and the other thing is get out there because you're only young once
Mm.
and have fun. Don't perceive that just because somebody doesn't like you is anything wrong with you. It's like, okay, your choice,
Mm.
move on. It's like, okay. The other thing that crossed my mind was the fact that people, even now, you come out at a certain point in your life and you think you're something or the other,
Mm.
and it's not black and white.
No.
People try to put labels like you're gay, you're bisexual,
Mm.
you're trans. It's like, okay, but people are in between.
Mm.
And I must admit, recently I've been thinking, you know what? I'm not entirely 100% that.
Mm.
I'm more something else as well.
Mm.
So and that's healthy, I think, is
Mm.
that you don't have to be a perceived part of the acronym.
Yeah.
You could be a whole bit in between.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a note in between other notes or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a new color or something. I mean, I didn't know about, didn't really know about bisexuality because whenever someone would level, "Oh, you're gay" at me, I'd say, well, often when I was with a woman, and I would say, well, I'm not, because clearly it didn't compute
Yes.
because I liked women. So yeah, I hadn't even considered it. It didn't. None of that sunk in until very recently. That is the craziest thing that I just thought being gay was a passing phase. Or attraction to men was a passing phase, and
Yeah.
actually, it's part of who I am. So yeah, it's both as well. It's not one or the other, and like you say, it's
What you say that the whole attraction thing is a different set of scales, isn't it? The fact that you
yeah,
can go on to be what you're attracted to. It may not be what you're looking at. It's the what you're feeling, how that
yeah,
person reacts, and it's a
yeah.
whole spectrum.
Well, trans
Which,
women, trans
yes,
men. I mean, again, see people who don't fit, you know, all the gender roles. So yeah, it's all very
I love that, and
fluid.
I
Yeah,
would fully endorse everybody doing what they feel best.
yeah, yeah. No, it just feels like a good time to see where you're going and experiment or whatever,
Yes,
and yeah, embrace whatever they've got to
and have
offer.
fun doing it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not just about their body either. It's what's up here, right? So,
Yes,
and have you got many like a big network of friends now?
I wouldn't say big, but we have enough. That keeps us busy most of the time, either traveling around, seeing them on cruise ships, or that's one of the fun things we get to know is the various different people. Every time we go on a cruise, we find more friends we get to know and you keep in touch with worldwide. So that's fun. But yeah, people that you've known either through work and you keep in touch with,
Yeah,
and it's good to understand where they're going. And the relationship isn't going to go in that direction. You are just really good friends.
yeah,
And that's really important that you have people you can rely on to like, okay, they're going to tell me the truth.
yeah. You mentioned to me you like cruising.
The reason why it's very simple, it's a very simple formula for us is that one, it was when we started doing this, it was transatlantic cruises and they didn't have internet once you left
Ah,
port. And it was amazing, like re reset, no
gotcha.
social media, no texting, nothing.
Mm,
That's changed. Obviously now we have,
mm,
Starlink is all worldwide and everybody has internet, but you still have the ability to, your room is literally a few floors away. You can have a meal with a different people with a different restaurant every night. You have a really good laugh with a group of
Mm.
friends, people who are being attracted by everybody having fun. You drink however late you want to drink. You don't have to get up the next day because there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And then when you do get up, somebody cleans your room. There's food whenever you want it. You have
Yeah.
a choice. Again, you can start drinking whenever you like, and it's sleep, eat,
Yeah.
drink,
Yeah.
repeat.
Repeat. Yeah.
And it's kind of distressing. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
this has become all you're there is to have fun, and you have people around you. And don't get me wrong, because we've been on cruises by ourselves, not found groups to go with. Not the same. It's
Mm.
all about the company we have. That
Yeah.
just makes it such a good laugh.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So I'll probably start to wrap up, but just going to do a little bit of a tease then, I guess, for Chaps Out Culture, which is the companion podcast where we talk about a
Okay.
bit of culture. So what have you got for us, Adrian?
Some music which I love at the moment. Anything with a beat, remixes. Um, a remix of All the Things She Said by Tattoo by Harrison's, and that was in the series by Heated Rivalry, which I
Hmm.
know you've just recently watched, and completely out of the blue.
Mm.
And I would recommend anybody do look into the background of Heated Rivalry, where it came from,
Mm.
because it started out extremely small
Mm.
and a small project with unknown people, and where that came from, and it has gone global. Amazing story, which is going to continue next year. Another one. Have you seen The Rain? Ever seen The Rain? And that remix by Outliers DJ. I originally saw it on TikTok, and it just has an amazing beat to it,
Mm.
which I absolutely love. And I would thoroughly recommend the film Dating Amber.
Yeah, I've watched the trailer in advance, but yeah, that does look like a good one. So I'm looking forward to watching that. Magic. All right, well, Adrian, I think we can probably wrap up here, but it's absolutely lovely
Fantastic.
talking to you, and I really appreciate you sharing your story with us. And thank you very much, Dave, for coming on.
Thank you for asking. Thanks, Grant.
Thanks again for listening to Chaps Out, and to Adrian for being so forthcoming and honest in sharing his story. Adrian reminds us that coming out isn't a single moment, it's an ongoing process. Sometimes it begins with simply saying the words out loud, but will often involve separate conversations with different people at various stages, which may require discretion. When he said things improve, it takes time. It's important to remember that we've often been processing this for years before we tell anyone else. The people around us may need time too, and that might be hard at first, but growth can happen on all sides, and gradual acceptance. I also like what Adrian said about identity not being black and white. People are in between. You could be a whole bit in between. There's a real freedom in recognising that. If this conversation resonated with you in any way, always remember, you are not alone. And please subscribe to Chaps Out wherever you listen so you never miss an episode, along with episodes of our companion podcast, Chaps Out Culture. And please follow us on YouTube, TikTok and Instagram. If you like what we're doing, you can donate on the link in the bio. Your support will help with running costs and keep these conversations flowing. And if you grew up in the UK and came out later in life and have an inspiring story you'd like to share, please email chapsoutpod@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and take care.